Jerry Park in Montreal. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates versus the Montreal Expos. Montreal Expos baseball.
The Expos are a nice, loose ball club. Pittsburgh, by now, should be suffering from a little bit of tension. Greetings, everybody. This is Hal Kelly, along with Don Drysdale. We're at Jerry Park in Montreal for the second game of the series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Montreal Expos. And now, I'd like to introduce the man who is a great right-hander with the Los Angeles Dodgers and has done great work in the broadcast booth in his first year here in Montreal, Don Drysdale.
Thank you very much, Hal. And tonight, why, as you say, every game that the Pittsburgh Pirates play, there's a lot of pressure on them, leading the Eastern Division of the National League. I know how they feel. You have to go out there, take them one at a time, and you've got a couple clubs breathing down your back like the Cubs and the Mets, but you can't worry about that. You have to win your own, and if you do win your own, they can't catch you.
The umpires are headed down for home plate, and we're having a look at the Pittsburgh batting order, which has Matty Alou as the leadoff man, and he's playing in the outfield in center. Dave Cash, the second baseman. Roberto Clemente is the right fielder. Al Oliver at first base. Willie Stargell is in left field. Manny Sanguillen is the catcher. Richie Hebner is the third baseman. Gene Alley is the shortstop. And Bob Moose, a right-hander, is the pitcher. Expos will have Marv Staley, the second baseman, leading it off. Jim Ferry's in left field. Rusty Staub in right. Bob Bailey is at third base. Jimmy Gosler is at first base. John Bateman is the catcher. Boots Day is the center fielder. Bobby Wine is the shortstop. And Carl Morton, with a record of 15 and 10, earned run average of 3.68. At Don, he was going great guns until the 1st of August. And in August, he had 7 starts, and out of the 7, he picked up 1 victory and 4 defeats. So for a fellow like Morton, that was a bit of a slump.
Well, it was a little bit for Carl, especially the way that he started out, but he still got about, I would say, about maybe 4, maybe 5 more starts left this 1970 season, and he's sure going to try and take advantage of all of them. I think one of the biggest things that's happened to the Expo staff is the great pitching of Steve Renko. He's come on and he's pitched some great ball the last 4 or 5 starts, and this is something that all goes down in the books, and the Expos, it's just a plus for them, and they're thinking for next year when you get fellas like a Morton and a Renko that you can start your staff with.
All right, first batter's in. It's Matty Alou, the center fielder for Pittsburgh. On the fly to left field, Jim Ferry going back. 1 away. Alou hits a fly ball to Jim Ferry in left. 1 up and 1 down.
Batting second, the second baseman, number 10, Dave Cash.
Number 30 is Dave Cash. He's the second baseman, batting .322. He has 1 homer and 21 runs batted in. The one and only Roberto Clemente will follow him. Ball 1, fastball.
This is a boy right here that the Pirates hope to spell Bill Mazeroski in the years to come.
Fastball is just a little low. It's ball 2, 2-0.
Of course, Mazeroski has been a great ball player for the Pittsburgh Ball Club for many a year.
2-1. There's Clemente. Some say the most complete ball player in baseball today. Fouled away, first base side. 2-2. Struck him out. Cash goes down swinging. First strikeout of the evening. for Carl Morton. Here's Roberto Clemente, batting .358. His 14 home runs, 59 runs batted in.
There's a lot of people right here in Montreal that probably remember Roberto Clemente when he played up here for the Montreal Royals when he was property of the Brooklyn Dodgers at that time, and then drafted by the late Branch Rickey into the Pittsburgh organization.
Strike one to Clemente.
Story about Bob in San Diego. He was kidnapped about a year and a half ago. We'll tell you about that as the game goes along.
Low outside, it's 1-1. Right center, on the move, Boots Day. Side retired. In the top of the first inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. At the end of the first half inning of play, Pittsburgh nothing. Montreal is coming to the plate. And this game is Kelly with Don Drysdale, and that's Al Oliver. Pittsburgh at first base. That's Dave Cash, the second baseman. Over to Gene Alley, the veteran shortstop. And then to Richie Hebner, the third baseman. Left field is Willie Stargell. In center is Matty Alou, and there's Roberto Clemente, the right fielder. Manny Sanguillen is the catcher, and Bob Moose, number 38, with a record of 8-9, earned run average of 3.93, is on the mound for Pittsburgh. Staley, the second baseman, steps in. Bob has no homers, 23 runs batted in. It's low for ball one. Moose, primarily being a sinker ball pitcher, prefers to throw that when he can. Strike, it's 1-1. And you see a lot of balls being hit on the ground. It's usually an indicator that his sinker is working very well. 1-1 pitch. Slider inside. 1-2.
Sanguillen thought that Myers Staley swung at that pitch, and he's asking home plate umpire Paul Pryor to check with the third base umpire Ed Sudol, but Pryor says, I don't have to. I said he didn't swing, and it's a ball.
On the air to right center, Roberto Clemente coming over after the ball, and he's got it. And Staley goes out on a fly ball to right field. There he is, 2 home runs, 19 runs batted in. He's the left fielder tonight. As Gene Mock has a lot of the left-handed hitters into the lineup against the right-hander Bob Moose. Outside, ball one. No score. We're in the bottom of the first inning. Rusty Staub will bat next, number 10. Fouled. Straight back, it's 1-1. Center fielder Alou plays Ferry just a couple of steps over to left field. Play him pretty well straight away in left and right. Coaches, at first it's Jimmy Bragan. Over at third base, it's Dick Williams. Curve failed to come in. It's 2-1. I can imagine, Don, some of the thoughts that start to go through people's minds. 2-1 pitch. High towards right center. Clemente's coming over, so's Alou. Clemente's calling. Roberto's got it. 2 up and 2 gone. He's going to say some of the thoughts that go through players' minds when they're in first place like Pittsburgh and they lose 4 straight, 5 straight, and then 6 straight.
Well, I'll tell you, it certainly can get you thinking, Hal. And the big thing is that when you get out in the latter part of the season and you're in first place or trying to catch them, you just have to take one game at a time. You can't worry about the game that you've lost in April or May or June or July. Every game is a big one that you're playing at that particular time, and you have to consider it as such. You can't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. You have to worry about this game tonight, and I'm sure that Danny Murtaugh, the Pittsburgh manager, why, he's been through it before, and that's exactly what he's stressed on his ball players, and he tries to keep them relaxed by reminding them just of that.
Bob Bailey in the on-deck circle. Staub is up there with a count of 2 balls, no strikes. I imagine that's the most important thing that a manager can do at this time of the year. After all, what can he teach in late August and September? But the effect that he can have on the morale of the ball club, the way he can keep people level, not down, not a way up, but just in the proper mood. That's what's important.
Well, that's very important, and not only the manager, but the coaches, and like I said before, the veteran ball players who have been through it. They have to all chip in, and they have to do it. They got to be talking to fellows like Hebner and Cash.
Staub gets to watch.
Right on the end, the Washington divisional 4. Batting fourth, for third baseman number 3, Bob Bailey.
And what a hero this fella has become in the last couple of months. Bob Bailey, now with 24 home runs and 66 runs batted in. Inside.
I have seen Bob Moose throw harder than what he's throwing so far tonight. And it looks like his arm isn't as free as what it used to be. I don't know if that is a result of the injury that he had or what it might be, but Bob can throw certainly harder than what he's throwing so far this evening.
Bailey has hit safely in his last 7 games with 11 hits and 27 at-bats. Staub is back in time. Notice Rusty brushing himself off a minute ago with a glove on his left hand. See the glove on the left hand? Staub doesn't wear a glove when he's batting, but he puts it on when he goes down to first base. It's for sliding, so he won't burn his hand on the infield dirt. Ball 2 to Bob Bailey. 7 games straight with 11 base hits. And in 10 of the last 11 games, he has hit safely, too.
You know what's amazing about Bob is since June 5th, he's hit 385. And 23 of his 24 home runs have come since June 5th.
Foul, first base side of the play. 2 balls, 1 strike. Good crowd on hand. The weather, you'll notice some of the fans down there wearing top coats. The weather, I'd say it's probably mid-60s tonight, somewhere in 65, 66. But they're probably wearing the top coats as a result of last night. It was very cold here last night, but they still had over 20,000 people in the ballpark, and they stayed right to the end. That keeps the waistline down.
Yes, it does.
Two and two. Bailey had a home run last night, hit it over the right field wall. That's the opposite field for him. He had a big wind blowing from left to right, and he went with the wind. Put it up there in the jet stream, and it just sailed out. Very little wind tonight. It's a question of who wears out first, Staub or Moose.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are sporting their new uniforms that they have since they moved into the new ballpark in Pittsburgh, and they're similar to the skin-tight pants that the football players wear.
Foul back here out of play towards the press box.
They don't have a belt. They have more or less 2 strings that they draw together, 2 drawstrings that you might see in a pair of swimming trunks or something like that. That is the belt that they have. If there's elastic around the midsection,
How do the players like them, Don?
They like him very well. They say they're very comfortable.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Staub is a runner at first for the Expos. No score, bottom of the first. 3-2.
The only person that I heard that had a little complaint was George Burnett, and of course George just got over here yesterday. And George is a pretty big boy and has a little bit of a pouch in front of him. He's got a very small shirt.
Over the head of the shortstop. In there for a base hit. Maybe extra bases. Staub on the fly. Coming around third base. Hit score. Here comes Staub. The play is to the plate. 1-0 Montreal.
That ball is right in Bob's power, and he hit it fairly well to left center field. And Matty Alou made a fine play on the ball, made a good relay, and the throw to the plate was just about in time to get Staub, but a little off to the first base side. And Rusty just get in under the tag.
Staub, of course, with 2 men away, was away like a shot on that pitch. Fouled into the dirt by Jimmy Gosger, the first baseman. Gosger has 4 homers, 28 runs batted in. And Bailey continues to deliver with a double to left center that drives in the first run of the game. On the ground to the first baseman, Al Oliver. And that's the Southern Montreal as we go to the top of the second. Coach Don Leppard is coaching over at first base, and that's Frank Oshiak who's coaching over at third. Carl Morton faces Al Oliver, the first baseman. Oliver batting .273 is 12 homers, 74 runs batted in. Can hit the long ball with power. Strike 1. They've used Oliver in left field, they've used him in right, and they used him at first base as he is playing tonight because they like to have that bat in the lineup. Low outside, 1-1.
With a change in the weather, Al, this should make the ball players feel real strong, and I know pitchers especially feel strong in this kind of weather after spending all summer in a lot of heat.
Foul, straight back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I think one of the most difficult things in baseball is to find out what kind of weather baseball players like. In the spring, they chortle all spring. Oh, when the warm weather comes, I'll be all right. Fastball, 2-2.
You know, I think that's the same in every professional sport. I've heard a lot of golfers say the same thing. One day it's too windy, they can't play. The next day it's beautiful and they can't putt.
Straightaway center field, Bootstay coming under it. Played it nicely, has the first out. Oliver flies to center, 1 gone. 4th straight retirement for Carl Morton, the Montreal Expo pitcher. They got him 1-2-3 in the first inning and gets Oliver the lead man and cleanup hitter in this half. Here's a guy who can hit it 8 miles. Willie Stargell has 26 homers, 69 runs batted in. Every time Willie steps in, I recall that he hit one in the swimming pool over the right field wall here last year against the Expos. Deep to right. Stop, going back. At the foul pole. Got it in foul territory. Over the fence he reached and got it in foul territory.
Willie Stargell hitting this ball as high and just about as far as you can and still be caught. Rusty Staub watched it all the way, had plenty of time to get underneath and timed his jump perfectly. It was foul and over the fence, but a great catch by Staub. I think Rusty's laughing a little bit right now. Because I've had a few of those caught, now you take that.
Brings up a point, Don. Here's Matty Sanguillen, the catcher. Most people are conscious of Rusty's hitting, his great eye at the plate, and the fact that he's hit 29 home runs. I'm wondering what you think, because I think that the greatest improvement in Rusty Staub since he joined the Expos at the beginning of last year has been defensively.
Well, this is a big thing, and you're so right, Hal, that Rusty has improved an awful lot.
Here's Staub coming on towards this one. Makes the catch, third out, and the side is retired. So Morton has retired 6 in a row in the first 2 innings. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on. At the end of 1.5 innings, the score is Montreal 1, Pittsburgh nothing, and this game is coming to you from Jerry. At the bottom of the second inning, they're now to the number 6 spot in the batting order with John Bateman. Then number 7 is Boots Day, and the number 8 man in the order and third man in this half inning will be the shortstop, Bobby Wine. Bateman has 12 homers, 53 runs batted in. Play Big John dead straight away. Outside, ball 1. End of the first quarter, now into the second quarter at Ottawa in the Canadian Football League. On the ground to his shortstop, Gene Alley. Makes his throw easily. Bateman is retired short the first, 1 away. Yes, into the second quarter. Ottawa 7, the Montreal Alouettes nothing.
Batting 7, for center fielder, number 37, Boots Day.
Here's Boots Day. Boots is yet to hit a home run, but he's only been back with the club for about 3 weeks, I guess. Checked in time. Ball 1, 1-0. Defensively, Stargell in left field, Matty Alou in center, and Roberto Clemente in right. That's Bobby Wine, number 7, the shortstop, will bat next. Inside slider, swing and a miss, 1-1. That's that pitch there, Don, I call the slider that they were telling me before the game. Foul is 1-2. That's his breaking ball, which I guess is halfway between a slider and a curve, eh?
Well, that's right, and what he does, he throws that in on the fist on the left-handed hitter because he doesn't want to get it out over the plate. If he gets it in on the fist, well, there's a good chance of him swinging and missing, or if they do get the good part of the bat on the ball, they're going to hit the ball foul. Then he will usually go away with a sinker.
Foul at the plate. It's still 1-2.
That was a slider again right there. The idea behind that is that you're giving a left-handed hitter who does have a little bit of advantage facing a right-handed hitter, but he's got to fight a ball off of him coming in and then hit the sinker that's going away from him.
2-2.
On that pitch, it looked as though he tried to pick up that outside corner with that slider, make that ball break from the outside into the strike zone over the outside corner.
Down the line and left, it's foul ball into the stands. Stargell made a move on it, but he stopped at the line. Moose, in an inning and a third, has given up a walk and a double to Bob Bailey, and it cost him 1 run. It's 1-0 Expos. Our next telecast will be 2 weeks from tonight. Mets, isn't it?
That's right, the New York Mets.
Struck out Boots Day. So we'll be seeing another pennant popper 2 weeks from tonight because the Mets and the Cubs are just a game and a half back of Pittsburgh. Bobby Wine has 3 homers, 40 runs batted in. And the outfield moves over towards right. Clemente heads towards the line. Matty Alou in center is about a dozen strides over into right center. And Stargell is right down the power alley in left field. Outside slider, top the outside corner, 1-1. One and 2.
Those have been 2 perfect pitches on those last 2 sliders. He's really threading the needle on Bobby Wine right now. Right on the outside corner and right down around the knees.
Into the ground of the shortstop, Gene Alley. Easy play. Gets him, and the side is retired. And so for the Expos in the bottom of the second inning, it's no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. At the end of 2, Montreal 1 and Pittsburgh nothing. And the game is coming to you from Jerry. Top of the third inning, Montreal Expos. Carl Morton is out there on the mound, throwing to catcher John Bateman. Bateman number 2. See that slim figure? Look at that waistline. Last year, Bateman weighed around 230. And I think there were times he sneaked up around 235, 237. But this year, he's kept it down around 198, 200. And it certainly has turned into an outstanding year for John Bateman. What was it Gene Mock said in the spring? I know Bateman was fined because he didn't make the right weight at the beginning of the year. And Mock said that by fining him, he cost him a few hundred. But he said, here's a fellow that's going to play for another 5 or 10 years. He should be in the so many $1,000 a year class, and if I can get him there, it'll be a big bonus for him rather than a fine in the long run. First pitch to Richie Hepner. Ball 1. One ball, 1 strike. And the late Dick Irvin, who coached the Montreal Canadiens, was just as tough. But Toe Blake, one of his players in those days, said that by being so, he added at least 2 years to his career. Speaking of hockey, this is a fella can play the game, Richie Hepner. He comes from around Massachusetts and was on the list of the Boston Bruins and was offered a professional hockey contract by the Bruins, but he chose baseball instead. 1 ball, 2 strikes. First baseman, Jimmy Gosger, gives it to Morton, the pitcher. 1 away.
Batting 8 for the shortstop, number 14, Gene Alley.
And the fine veteran for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Gene Alley, has 7 homers, 28 runs batted in. Gene had shoulder trouble last year, was in and out of the lineup. Strike 1. And when he did come back, they played him at second base a lot because the throw was easier there. Strike 2. But this year they've got him back at shortstop, so the arm is better, the shoulder's healed.
When Harry Walker was the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates, why, he really made this fella into a fine hitter. Alley used to be the type of ball player, the type of hitter that pulled the ball, tried to pull the ball a lot, and it just wasn't beneficial to a man of his stature, and Harry got him hitting the other way, hitting the ball where it's pitched, and he was a tough out.
Foul straight back, it's still 1-2. That's Moose, the pitcher. Bob Moose, he's in the on-deck circle. He's got a chaw on the left cheek there. Not many tobacco chewers left, are there?
No, there really isn't. I've seen more on this Montreal club, though, than I've seen on many a ball club.
Third baseman Bob Bailey makes his play, 2 out. Alley goes out, third to first.
That was a fine play by Bailey. Bobby had to come in and charge that ball, and he did. Got it up short off. He'd have played back just 1 step or so while he'd have had that ball on the in-between hop, and no telling where it might have gone.
And Bailey has said, we've told him many times about the great hitting performance he's come up with since back on June the 5th when he caught fire, and has hit 23 home runs since then for a total of 24. Right to the pitcher, Morton. Lines out to the pitcher. Bob Moose lining out.
That was one of those do-or-die stabs. It was hit right back to Carl, and Carl was falling off the mound that way, right in the pocket. You hit it good, but it's an out.
All right, for Pittsburgh in the top of the third, 0 across. On the end of 2.5 innings, the score, Montreal 1 and Pittsburgh 0. And this game is coming to you from Jerry. That's a nice picture, Don.
Yes, it certainly is. There's Charles Bronfman, right? Sidney Maislin.
That's just to the right of the Montreal Expo dugout. Mr. Hoffman wearing the Montreal Expo jacket.
There's the Baldry brothers. The official family for the Montreal Expos.
Well, it ended the last half inning with Moose lining out to Morton. Now Morton's at the plate, and Moose is pitching. High for ball one. What was it last Saturday? Carl Morton pitching against Cincinnati retired the first 18 men to face him before Pete Rose led off in the 10th inning with a big hit. 7th inning, sorry. Morton's batting 169. Carl has a home run this year and 5 runs batted in. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-2.
You know what's funny about that home run? I was down at Dodger Stadium last Sunday and talking to Don Sutton, who was the pitcher at the time that Carl hit the home run. Oh, he still can't forget that.
Moose strikes out Morton. And we head for the top of the batting order with the second baseman, Marvin Staley. Marv hit a fly to right in the first inning. He's 0 for 1. Came into the game with a .223 average, and that worn out in the first inning. Cost him a point. He's now .222. Second baseman Dave Cash on the ball. Makes his play to Oliver at first. We have 2 men away.
The rookie on the course, the left fielder, Jim Ferry.
Jim Ferry has 2 homers, 19 runs batted in. Hit a fly to right in the first inning. 0 for 1. Towards the pitcher, Bob Moose. Gotta hurry. Gets him. Side retired. Play going Moose, the pitcher, to Oliver at first base. So we'll go down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the third. And at the end of 3, it's Montreal 1 and Pittsburgh nothing. And this game is coming to you from Carl Morton has gone through the Pittsburgh batting order. Faced 9 men in the first 3 innings and retired them 1-2-3 in each of those 3 innings. Pittsburgh has no runs, no hits, no errors. Montreal has 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error. Score 1-0 Montreal. And as we head to the top of the 4th inning, we're at the top of the Pittsburgh Pirates batting order. And we're switching over right now to the man who used to pitch for the Los Angeles Dodgers and won over 200 games in the major leagues, Don Drysdale.
Well, thank you very much, Al. And to lead it off for the Pittsburgh Pirates here, the top half of the 4th inning will be Matty Alou, followed by Dave Cash and Roberto Clemente. Alou, his first time at bat, flew out to the left fielder, Jim Ferry. He takes a fastball down and in for ball 1. Foul ball back in the position, down to the baseline. Somebody has a souvenir.
Matty Alou last night in the 8-4 victory by Pittsburgh hit a home run. His first homer since back on June the 4th of '69, and his first in 1,041 at-bats.
You know, it's funny, this little fellow right here, he can pull a cannon if he wants to. Takes the fastball just outside for ball 2. But Matty Alou, you cannot throw hard enough to throw the ball by Matty Alou. This is another fellow that Harry Walker made into a fine hitter. Ground ball foul down the third base line, down into the Expo bullpen.
There's a perfect example of what you're talking about, too. They pitched him outside, and he just drilled it right down the third base side.
That's exactly right. He hits the ball all over. The outfield will play around to the left for Matty Alou, and they'll usually try and pitch him away. But there's a line drive to right, and Rusty Staub is right there to make the catch. That brings up the second baseman, Dave Cash. His first trip to the plate, Cash struck out. Cash hitting .322 with 1 home run and 21 RBI. fine young second baseman with a lot of hope. The Pirates hope that he's going to be around for quite a while. Attempted bunt that he takes for a called strike. No balls and a strike. 1-0 Montreal, the top half of the fourth inning. Slider down and away for ball one. Foul ball down the first base line, back into the stands. So the count now is 1 ball and 2 strikes to the second baseman, Dave Cass. 1 man away, the top half of the fourth inning, 1-0 Montreal.
He fits the same mold as Alou, too, and exactly the same thing we're talking about. He doesn't hit many home runs. His biggest year was 6 homers in the minors, but he hits it where they pitch it, too.
Slider just misses for ball 2. The count evens up now, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Another foul back into the stands along the first base side. The count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. The outfield, Boots Day in center field, swung around a little bit into right center. Rusty Staub about straightaway center. And Jim Ferry in left in the power alley. The infield about straightaway. There's a souvenir, some happy fan. Ground ball right back to Carl Morton. So that retires Dave Cass, and that brings up now Roberto Clemente. Clemente, his first time at bat, flew out to the center field of Boots Day, made a fine running catch in right center field. Clemente hitting .358, 14 home runs, 59 RBIs. Fastball away for strike 1. You can watch Clemente stride. He stands away from the plate, and a lot of times he will pull away, but he has great control over the top half of his body from his waist on up, and he can hit the ball out of any part of the ballpark. Very, very strong. That was inside, spun him around a little bit. And that's just about the only place that you can come inside to Roberto Clemente. If you come in just off of the plate, why, somebody's got a good chance of getting a souvenir in those left center field seats. So when you come in on Bob, you got to come way in.
Don, I was talking a while ago about Carl Morton and the fact that on Saturday night he worked 6 innings, retiring 18 men in a row. He went on to lose that game in the 11th inning. Tonight, he has retired 11 in a row so far.
The count now is 3 balls and 1 strike to Roberto Clemente. And they talk about this fellow here being the complete ball player, and he is. Slider on the outside part of the plate. So the count runs out now. 3 balls and 2 strikes, 2 men away. The top half of the fourth inning. The Expos 1, the Pirates nothing. Right back through the middle, and that just about took Carl Morton's foot off. So Roberto Clemente is on at first base with a single, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Al Oliver.
Al Oliver.
I thought that ball had hit him on the shin and just grazed him. But, of course, you pitchers out there, you don't like to let on that it hurt even if it did, eh?
Well, you generally don't unless you're really hurt, and then you can't help it. I remember he hit one by me just like that one night in Pittsburgh, and I was falling off to the mound, and I just happened to turn my head towards center field, and it just ticked my right ear, and it drew a blood blister. That was about as close as I'd want Mr. Clemente to come to me when he hits the ball on the line, I'll tell you that. Al Oliver takes the ball outside for ball 1.
That, incidentally, was Roberto Clemente's 2,700th career base hit?
That's quite a few, I'll tell you that. Up high again for ball 2. Oliver is primarily a fastball hitter, and he can hit the off-speed pitch pretty well. He's a low ball hitter, and they've tried to pitch him up as much as they possibly can. Got a lot of power. Got 12 home runs, 74 RBIs, batting .273. There's a line drive that's going to be foul down the Expo bullpen, down the left field line. And we'll have a little chase there. Fan jumped over out on the field. They always make that announcement before every ball game that they do not want the fans to go on the field and interfere with play, because it certainly can affect the outcome of a ball game. Base hit into right field. Rusty Staub in. Roberto Clemente going to third. Staub will not make a play. And he gets the ball back into Gosber. Gosber, I should say. So Clemente's on at third. Al Oliver on at first. And that brings up the left fielder, Willie Stargell. So after retiring the first two hitters, Alou and Cash, Morton gives up a single. Stargell now is a hitter, .263 batting average, 26 home runs, 69 RBIs. Last time up, Rusty Staub made a fine catch over the right field fence, just in foul territory, for the put out on Stargell. And there was a famous Stargell swing right there. He had a rip at that high fastball. The outfield swung around to the right and deep. Bob Bailey in on the grass at third base. Bobby Wine playing over towards second, back deep. Marv Staley back on the grass at second base. Fastball up and in for ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Staley's about 3 steps back on the outfield grass and in the hole at second base. There's a set swing and a pop up by the mound. Jimmy Gosder's there, and he makes the catch for the putout. So for the Pirates in the top half of the 4th inning, there were no runs on 2 hits, no errors, 2 men left on base. And at the end of 3.5 innings of play, the score is Montreal 1 and Pittsburgh nothing. We move into the last half of the 4th inning. The Montreal Expos, it'll be Rusty Staub, Bob Bailey, and Jim Gosger in that order. There's Rusty down getting the rosin in the fine tar. For Pittsburgh, they have no runs, 2 hits, and no errors. For Montreal, 1 run on 1 hit and no errors. Number 10, Rusty Staub. Rusty Staub, the first time up, walked and scored on Bob Bailey's double. That's the only run of the ball game, as the Expos lead 1-0. Rusty batting .288 with 29 home runs, 84 RBIs, takes a strike from the outside corner.
Those 2 figures you just mentioned, 29 home runs, that ties his all-time output of last year for 29 homers. And his all-time RBI output for a season was 81, so the 84 has broken that.
Off-speed pitch, and that was that knuckleball you were talking about, Al. Rusty way out in front. Struck Rusty out, so that's the first out for the Montreal Expos here in the last half of the 4th inning. That'll bring up Bob Bailey for the first time at bat. Doubled into left center and drove in Rusty Staub from first base for the only Expo run. Bob hitting .321 with 24 home runs and 66 RBIs. And I believe that might be a high for him, too.
Sure is.
Takes the called strike.
Both figures are high for Bailey, 24 homers and 66 runs batted in. By quite a bit, too. You were talking about a great play he made at third base defensively, and Bailey has said that when people talk about his great hitting since June the 5th, and he says, yes, and I can be a much better ball player defensively. I can do the job, and I'm going to start on it in spring training next year early, and I'm going to prove that I can play this game defensively very well.
Well, I'm sure that makes all the Expos, all the official family certainly happy, because they have a lot of hope for Bob. The count now is 2 balls and 2 strikes to Bob Bailey, 1 man away, the last half of the 4th inning, 1-0 Montreal. And when you think of Bob Bailey's 24 home runs and 66 RBIs, he has been at bat only 243 times. That's Bob Moose. The breaking pitch down and away, so the count runs out now. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Bailey. That's Jimmy Gosger on deck. Outside for ball 4. So Bailey walks, and that'll bring up first baseman Jim Gosger. Gosger, his first hit at bat, grounded out to the first baseman Al Oliver, unassisted.
The first baseman, Jim Gosger.
That's the second base on balls that Bob Moose has given up so far. Given up 2 base on balls and 2 strikeouts. Jimmy Gosger hitting .263 with 4 home runs and 28 RBIs. Takes a fastball outside for ball 1. The outfield swung around to the right. The infield about straight away. The line drive foul down in the Pirate bullpen, back up into the stand. They'll have a merry chase back there. It's Bob Bailey. He'll return to first base. Gosger checking down with third base coach Dick Williams. There goes Bailey. The throw. He's throwing it.
You notice on the throw now, Sanguillen goes to the outside, and his throw is outside. Bailey slides a little early and then has to hustle in at the last second, but beats it cleanly for a stolen base for Bailey.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Jim Gosger. Breaking pitch up high, evens the count now. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 man out, the last half of the 4th inning. The Expos 1, the Pirates nothing. Bob Bailey at the top of your screen there, second base. Gene Alley jockeying around behind him. The high pop fly, foul territory. Richie Hebner over by the Expo dugout, backs up, makes the catch. So Jimmy Gosger pops up in foul territory to Rich Hebner at third base, and that'll bring up the catcher, John Bateman. Bateman hitting .234 with 12 home runs and 53 RBIs. John enjoying a very fine year, and the Expos are certainly happy with the progress that he's made this season. His first trip, he grounded out to the shortstop, Gene Alley. The ground ball to Alley again. He's up with it. Over to Oliver, and that'll do it for the Expos here in the last half of the 4th inning. In the inning, there were no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 man left on base. And at the end of the 4th inning, the score is Montreal 1, the Pittsburgh Pirates nothing. And for the Pittsburgh Pirates, it'll be Manny Sanguillen, Rich Hebner, and Gene Alley.
The catcher, Manny Sanguillen.
Going along the network, of course, and out to Vancouver tonight, there are a couple of fellows very familiar out there, both having to do with pitching. Carl Morton, of course, was with Vancouver for a great part of last year, and Don Osborne with the Pittsburgh Pirates was a standout pitcher with Vancouver years ago.
There's a bunt down the third baseline. Carl Morton in quick. Over to Gosger in time, and that retires Sanguillen. The score goes 1-3. Morton got off the mound very quickly. The bunt was a well-placed bunt down the third baseline, but Carl, with good speed, very good agility for a pitcher, he was on it like a cat. That'll bring up the third baseman, Rich Hebner.
Halftime football score at the half. Ottawa 28, Montreal nothing.
A line drive foul down in the Pirate bullpen. That's Carl Morton, number 44. Carl enjoying a real fine year, 15-10 record, 3.68 ERA. He's held the Pirates intact so far here tonight, with Montreal leading 1-0 in the top half of the fifth inning.
I'm just going to say we mustn't forget Boots Day, too, has played most of this season, or a great part of it, at Winnipeg, and is thought out there to be one of the finest defensive outfielders ever in AAA ball.
A ground ball to Marv Staley. In makes the play to Gosger, and that'll retire Richie Hebner. So there's 2 men away for the Pirates, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Gene Alley. Gene Alley, his first trip to the plate, grounded out on a fine play by Bob Bailey. 5-3, Bailey to Gosger. Takes the slider outside for ball 1. Fastball down low for ball 2. The outfield is about straight away for Alley. Bob Bailey playing just a few steps off the line at third base. The infield swung around a little bit to the right. Up high for ball 3. Here's a spot right here that you'd like to retire this fella and have the pitcher lead the inning off. Down low, and he walks him on 4 straight pitches. That's the first walk that Carl Morton has given up so far tonight. And he has struck out. That brings up the pitcher, Bob Moose. Moose, his first time at bat, hit a line drive right back to Carl Morton for the third out in the third inning. Slider down low. They have 3 pitchers on the Pirate Ball Club that Danny Murtaugh refers to as part of his butcher shop, lamb, veal, and moose. Down low for ball 2, so that's 6 consecutive balls now that Carl Morton has thrown. Jimmy Gosger now is going to come in and just kind of try and settle Carl down just a little bit, have him take his time.
Out of a pound of moose, please, when you have a little time. Hear the gag, how you cook a moose? First, get a very big pot.
Up high for ball 3, so now that's 7 consecutive balls that Carl's thrown. Moose stands out and checks down with his third base coach, Frank Osiak. Strike 1. 3 balls and a strike. 2 men away. The top half of the 5th inning. The Expos lead 1-0. That's Carl Morton going after victory number 16. Strike 2 called. Matty Alou on deck. The smallest of the Alou brothers. Boy, there's 3 great athletes, I'll tell you that, Al. The line drive in the right field for a base hit. Alley around second. Straub in, a fine throw. Strong throw to Billy at third, but Alley's in. So runners now at first and third. And that'll bring up Matty Alou. A base hit for Bob Moose, sending Gene Alley to third base. The Pirates have runners at first and third with 2 men away, and Matty Alou is the hitter.
You're talking about the Alou brothers. I certainly agree with you about what great athletes. But Matty here, who hit a home run last night, his first one since back in June of 1969. He's batting .295. You can see he's very unhappy about that. Most people would not be, but in the last 4 years, Matty's hit .342, .338, .332, and .331. So that's why he doesn't like .295.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. By the time the season's over, he'll be back up over that 300 mark because he's a fine hitter. And this is another fellow, like I said before, that Harry Walker made into a real good hitter. Fouled back into the stands behind home plate. So the Pirates threaten here in the top half of the 5th inning. The Expos lead 1-0. The Pirates have runners at first and third. Gene Alley at third, pitcher Bob Moose at first. The ground ball to the second baseman Staley. He's up with it over to Gosler, and that retires the Pirates in the top half of the 5th inning. In the inning, there were no runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 men left on base. And at the end of 4.5 innings of play, the score is Montreal 1, Pittsburgh nothing. The last half of the 5th inning will bring up Boots Day, Bobby Wine, and Carl Morton. The last 3, the tail end 3 in the Montreal batting order. The Expos lead 1-0. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Pirates. 1 run on 1 hit, and no errors for the Montreal Expos.
It's a new feeling for Bob Moose to be headed to the bottom half of the 5th inning because he's 0-2 against the Expos in 1970 and has not lasted beyond 3 2/3 innings in any of 3 earlier starts against the Expos this year. So tonight he's gone 4, and he's headed for the bottom of the 5th inning.
Boots Day will lead it off here in the last half of the 5th inning. His first time at bat, he was the first strikeout victim for Bob Moose, who has struck out 2 so far tonight. There's a ground ball to Al Oliver, and he'll take it himself. So Boots Day grounds out to the first baseman, Al Oliver, unassisted. That brings up Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine, his first time at bat, grounded out to the shortstop.
Out-of-town scoreboard. The Cubs defeated the Phillies 17-2 this afternoon. Cincinnati leads San Francisco 1-0 at the end of the 4th. Houston and San Diego scoreless end of the 4th. Atlanta 4, the Dodgers nothing end of 4. New York at St. Louis still not on their way.
Wine takes a fastball for a called strike. There's a good look at Bob Moose. I'm not sure what that pitch was. It might have been a changeup down in the dirt and skipped all the way to the backstop. That's Carl Morton on deck. And that little donut-type thing that you saw that Carl was swinging at on the end of his bat, that's one of the new weights that they've put into professional baseball now. Instead of swinging the heavy-weighted bat, it's a heavy-weighted donut that they will put on and slide down the bat. And they can still get the feel of the just one bat in your hand as they're swinging the heavy-weighted donut that goes right down at the end of the bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bobby Wine. 1 man away here in the last half of the 5th inning. Outside for ball 2. There's a good picture of Carl. You can see it's a little chilly here tonight. A real nice night, though, here in Montreal. Carl's got a little turtleneck, little dicky on. Strike 3 for Bobby Wine. So that's the 3rd strikeout for Bob Moose. And it'll bring up the pitcher, Carl Morton. And his first time, Carl struck out. Ground ball foul.
Error, Dick Williams.
That's Marv Staley. No balls and a strike on Carl Morton. 2 men away the last half of the 5th inning. The Expos 1, the Pirates nothing. The ground ball to Rich Hebner at third. Over to Oliver at first, and that retires the side. 3 up and 3 down for the Montreal Expos. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. And at the end of the 5 innings of play, the score is Montreal 1 and Pittsburgh nothing. This game is coming to you from Jerry Park. The top half of the 6th inning, a whipping fly ball just cleared on the right field line by Dave Cash. A fine play by Staub to throw to second, not in time. So Dave Cash opens up the top half of the 6th inning with a double down the right field line.
Watch for Staub coming up in the right corner. He comes in on the ball, can't get to it in time. But the big thing with Staub is his strong arm. Watch how he's practically off balance and still rifles it right to second on one bounce. He can throw better with pure arm and practically no pivot than just about anybody in baseball.
Well, as you said before, Rusty Staub has certainly helped himself defensively, and this is one of the great things that Willie Mays has always said, and I've really respected Willie for this. He said, there's days that I can't do it with the bat. I've got to beat him with the glove if I can. And certainly Rusty Staub is falling right into that category. Bob Clemente, Roberto Clemente, takes the ball outside for ball 1. On second is Dave Cash with a leadoff double here in the top half of the 6th inning. The Expos 1, the Pirates nothing. Carl Morton in the middle of your picture right there on the mound for the Expos. Just outside for ball 2. The outfield is swung around a little bit to the right. Boots Dave playing a little bit towards the right field side of center. Marv Staley and Bobby Wine playing right up the middle. They've bunched Clemente in the middle, right there at the top of your picture. Just outside for ball 3. So it's 3 balls and no strikes. Frank Osiak at third base. The high fly ball in the right center field. Staub goes back. They can't make it. It's against the wall. Here comes Oliver, and he falls from around third base, and he has to stop. Clemente's in at second base with a stand-up double. Al Oliver, as he rounded third base, fell, and he could not score on the play, which he normally would have.
You see the ball land right at the base of the fence. There's no wind whatsoever in the ballpark, or it would have been out. It just hit the fence about 6 inches up. Now watch for Oliver coming around third, falls, doesn't know which way to go for a moment, then heads back to the bag. The infielder has got the ball at this point, but has not got time for a play as Oliver hustles back. And Gene Mock, the manager of the Expos, is out talking with number 44, Carl Morton. John Bakeman is number 2 on the right-hand side. Bailey, the third baseman. I wonder what he's saying. Morton stays in.
So there's nobody away here in the top half of the 6th inning. There have been 2 successive doubles. The first one by Dave Cash, the second by Roberto Clemente. And that brings up the first baseman, Al Oliver. Oliver 1 for 2 on the night. A single and a fly ball to center field. Single his last trip to the plate. So the Pirates have runners on second and third. Nobody out. Fastball swung on and fouled back.
Excuse me, Don, on that replay I was talking about Oliver rounding third base. I was looking at his name as the next batter coming up. It was Cash, of course, the second baseman who rounded third and fell. Dave Cash.
No balls and a strike on Al Oliver. Strong left-hand hitting first baseman. There's a ground ball to second baseman Staley. His only play is the first base to Jim Gosger as Cash scores the first run for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Clemente moves to third, and the score now is all even at 1-1. And that'll bring up the left fielder, Willie Stargell. Stargell is thrown out to Rusty Staub and then popped up to the first baseman, Jim Gosger. And they're going to walk Stargell. They're not going to take any chances right here. Behind Stargell is Manny Sanguillen, who certainly is a good double play man. Not too much speed, and the purpose of this intentional base on balls is Gene Mauch is hoping that he can get Sanguillen to hit the ball on the ground. Or I should say he's hoping that Carl Morton can get Sanguillen to hit the ball on the ground. Willie Stargell goes to first with a base on balls, and that brings up the catcher, Manny Sanguillen. Sanguillen is 0 for 2. Fly ball to right field, and he grounded back to the pitcher. One man away, the score tied, 1-1. A little fly ball down the right field, back into the stands, foul. No balls and a strike. That's Frank Osiak giving the signs. Jimmy Gosger in the white. And Willie Stargell standing right alongside. There's a ground ball into the hole in right field. Clemente will score, and Stargell will hold at second base. So Sanguillen singles to right field. And the Pirates go ahead 2-1. That brings up Richie Hebner, the third baseman.
This watching is the third baseman, Richie Hebner.
Hebner has an extremely interesting off-season employment. He's a grave digger. Yeah, his dad is a grave digger in Massachusetts for a small cemetery, and Richie helps out in the winter.
That's Willie Stargell at second base. Manny Sanguillen at first. That's Mike Marshall warming up in the Expo bullpen. Fastball just inside for ball 2, so it's 2 balls and no strikes to Rich Hebner. 1 man away. The Pirates lead 2-1 with 2 runs here in the top half of the 6th inning. There's a little, fly ball in left field. Jim Ferry comes in. He can't make the play. And the bases are loaded. Rich Hebner tried to hold up his swing on that and just lopped it into short left field. And Jim Ferry made a fine try, but just could not come up with the ball. So the Pirates now have the bases loaded with 1 man away, and Gene Alley is the hitter.
Pretty good indication of the strength in the Pittsburgh batting order when a fellow like Gene Alley can be the number 8 batter in the lineup. He's hitting .240, has 7 homers and 28 runs batted in. So he can look after himself at the plate.
Carl Morton in trouble here in the top half of the 6th inning. 2 runs already in. The bases loaded with 1 out. Gene Alley takes a fastball down low for ball 1. That's Carl Morton. He's just thinking to himself he wants to try and get out of this if he possibly can with just 2 runs. The line drive in the center field. Bootstrap falls down. He can't make the play. Ian scores. The ball goes to the wall. Hebner scores, and it looks like it's going to be an inside-the-park home run for Rich Hebner. A grand slam home run for Richie Hebner. I should say, excuse me, that's Gene Alley.
There's Alley. Now you'll see Bootstay coming hard. His feet go right out from under him, and the ball over his outstretched glove. He's got to regain his balance. In the meantime, with the bases loaded, the runners are rounding. That's Stargell coming in. That's Sanguillen in. And Alley comes in to score the fourth run. And Pittsburgh now has 6 for the half inning. And they're into the lead 6-1 over the Montreal Expos.
That'll bring up the pitcher, Bob Moose. Well, it was certainly a tough break right there, as probably this damp night is throwing a little more dew on the grass than usual. And as Boots Day tried to stop, why, his feet went right out from underneath him. One ball and one strike to Bob Moose. The Pirates lead 6-1. One man out here in the top half of the 6th inning. Called strike on the outside corner. Well, I'll tell you, Hal, in all the years that I've played, I think that might be the only Grand Slam home run that I've ever seen that was
Inside the park.
Inside the park, right. Foul ball, back up to the right. Strike 3, struck him out. So that's 2 men away now, and that brings up the leadoff hitter, Matty Alou. Matty Alou is the 9th man to come to bat in the top half of the 6th inning. The Pirates were 6 big runs, capped with an inside-the-park grand slam home run by Gene Alley. There's a high fly ball to Rusty Staub in right field. Rusty's under it and makes the catch. So in the inning for the Pittsburgh Pirates, there were 6 runs on 4 or 5 hits, no errors, nobody left on base. And at the end of 5.5 innings of play, the score, the Pittsburgh Pirates 6, the Montreal Expos 1. And this game is coming to you from Jerry Park.
Remember, in the last half inning, Gene Mock was out to talk to Carl Morton. You may recall I said, wonder what he's saying. Well, we'll find out. We taped it. Here's Gene.
Save 1 run, right? We're going to give him that run. Get this guy out. We got a place to put the big guy, put Stargell in, and we'll play for a double play. Don't put yourself into a lot of trouble trying to protect 1 run, right? We're going to get some more runs off first. Still feel good? Yes, sir. Throwing it good. You know what I think would be a good idea? If you just harden up on his slider a little bit. Yeah. Just harden up on it a little bit and take something to break out. Just harden up on it a little bit so you don't quite so long to look at it.
The last half of the 6th inning, the leadoff hitter is Marv Staley. And the count to Staley is 1 ball and 1 strike.
And that's something, Don, that I've never heard done before in baseball. You just heard Gene Mock, the manager, on videotape and sound with the repeat of what he said to his pitcher in the last half inning. Our producer, Claude Bakey, came up with that. An excellent idea.
Well, it certainly is. And, of course, it couldn't be a finer first for CBC and the Montreal Expos. Line drive off of the glove of Gene Alley at shortstop. Marv Staley's on at first with a base hit. That'll bring up the left fielder, Jim Ferry. Ferry 0 for 2 on tonight. A fly ball to right fielder and grounded back to the pitcher. So the Expos now are going to try and get something going in their half of the 6th inning. The Pirates scored 6, and the Expos got the leadoff runner on. There's a little pop fly on the left field line. Willie Stargell coming over. Alley going out and can't make the play. In foul territory. And it goes as just a long strike for Jim Ferry. The Pittsburgh Pirates were 6 runs on 8 hits and no errors. The Montreal Expos 1 run, 2 hits and no errors. The last half of the 6th inning. Marv Staley at first with a leadoff single, and Jim Ferry standing in. Swung on, foul back. No balls and 2 strikes to Jim Ferry. That's Marv Staley at first, and playing in behind is Al Oliver. Oliver now will not hold Staley with a 5-run lead. He will play behind him with the left-hand hitter Jim Ferry at the plate. There's a but it is foul. Jim Perry gave that one a ride, but pulled it about maybe 25 feet too much. So it'll go as another long strike. And the count remains. No balls and 2 strikes to Jim Perry. The infield straight away, double play depth. The outfield about straight away. Little hole in right center.
Now looking back off of the press box. Don, I'm sure that our producer Claude Bakey would be very interested in the fans' reaction to this type of broadcasting. I'm talking about Gene Mock's conversation with Hal Morton out on the mound, which we taped and then played back for you at the end of the half inning, because on September the 16th, we're going to go a little further with it and do something a little bit different. You tune in and you'll see what it's going to be.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Jim Perry. Nobody out here the last half of the 6th inning.
So if you like the idea, write to Don or myself and tell us. And if you don't, well, we'd be glad to hear about that, too.
Ground ball to Oliver at first. Gene Alley at shortstop, and everybody's safe.
Fielder's choice and an error to the first baseman. You see Oliver field the ball. His throw is definitely into the dirt and takes a bit of a bad hop. It didn't come up. The hop didn't come up, and Alley had to push his hands down quickly to smother it. He was fortunate to even block the ball. Fielder's choice and an error to the first baseman.
That'll bring up the right fielder, Rusty Staub. Rusty has walked and struck out so far tonight. And the fans here at Jerry Park are starting to be aroused. Center field, Matty Alou back, the runner's tag. Staley goes to third, the throw there, not in time, and both runners advance. That's Jim Perry standing at second base. The Expos have runners at second and third. And 1 man away, and that brings up the hottest hitter in the Expo lineup, Bob Bailey. That was a funny play by Matty Alou, and I'm sure right now he'd like to have that ball back. He had no chance of getting Staley going to third, but he could have held the runner at first base and still kept the double play situation in order, but he elected to throw to third, and Jim Perry was tagging along with Morris Staley at second, and they both advanced. Swung and missed for strike 1. Just outside for ball 1. And that Bob that you see in behind Bob Moose is not for Bob Moose. It is for the hitter standing at home plate, Bob Bailey. One man away. The count 1-1 to Bob Bailey. As the throw to the plate is cut off by Manny Sanguillen, and the Expos now have runners at first and third with 1 man away. That is the second RBI for Bob Bailey tonight. The ball was hit very sharply, and Willie Stargell in left field has a very strong arm, and Dick Williams, the third base coach, very wisely held Jim Perry at third.
Bailey signed as a rookie about 8 or 9 years ago with Pittsburgh, and he got a bonus estimated all the way from $135,000 to $215,000. Either figure sounds rather nice, particularly 8 years ago, but he was a bit of a bust for those 8 years, in that he did not live up to the promise and didn't live up to what he really expected himself. So this year is a great thrill for him.
Here's a little looping fly ball. There, down the left field line. Barry scores, and Bailey goes to third with Foster in So the Expos battle back. Scored 2 here in the last half of the 6th inning. Have runners at second and third, and John Bateman will be the hitter. Bateman has grounded out to Gene Alley twice. That's Brunette, the left-hander, and Lamb, the right-hander. Brunette just acquired from the Washington Senators. Number 4, I'm sure he'll change that number as soon as they get back to Pittsburgh. Slider swung on and missed. The reason I say that he'll probably change that is, number one, I know he will, because I was talking to him today in the hotel lobby. But you just don't see pitchers with a small number on their back like that, especially number 4. Swung on and missed again for strike 2. No balls and 2 strikes to John Bateman. Bob Moose in a jam now. The Expos are battling back. They've scored twice here in the last half of the 6th inning. Down in the dirt, and a fine block by Manny Sanguillen. That's Bob Bailey at third. Jimmy Gosger, who just doubled at second. That's the big play they try and teach all catchers. Any ball in the dirt with runners on base, if you can't catch it, block it and keep the ball in front of you. Swung on and missed for strike 3. So John Bateman strikes out. And that brings up the center fielder, Boots Day. Day is struck out and grounded to the first baseman unassisted.
Boots Day.
Well, the Expos hoping for a base hit right here that could possibly put them 1 run behind the Pirates. The score is 6-3, the last half of the 6th inning. Fastball up high for ball 1. Boots Day batting .293 for the Expos. No home runs and 2 RBIs. And he would like to double that RBI total right now. Ground ball to the first baseman, Oliver. He's up with it, and he will take it himself. So that retires a side for the Montreal Expos. In the inning, there were 2 runs. On 3 hits, 1 error, 2 men left on base. And at the end of 6 innings, the score is Pittsburgh 6, Montreal 3.
Greetings once again, everybody. This is Hal Kelly, along with the former great right-hander with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Don Drysdale, as we have a look at the fans. And these are some of the little leaguers, I suspect, from Sorel, Quebec, because it's Sorel night at the ballpark.
Second baseman, Dave Cash.
Dave Cash, the number 2 man in the Pittsburgh batting order, is in. Cash is 1 for 3 with a double to right field in 3 tries. Has 1 home run, 21 runs batted in. Count of 1 ball, 1 strike. It'll be Cash, Clemente, and Al Oliver, the first baseman for Pittsburgh in the top of the 7th inning. 6-3 Pittsburgh. Carl Morton just missed with a slider low outside. And it's 2-1. Morton knocked it down. It goes to second baseman Staley, and he gets his man with a throw to Gosger, and Cash goes out 1-4-3. Pitcher to the second baseman to the first baseman. Attendance has just been announced at 15,461. 15,461. And here's Roberto Clemente. Those little leaguers you saw in the stands a moment ago are from Valley Field, Quebec, and they went to the finals in the Little World Series in Pennsylvania. So we want to make sure that you know they were from Valley Field, because they certainly brought honor to their hometown. Clemente with a count of 1 ball, no strikes. He's 2 for 3 tonight. Strike, it's 1-1. Roberto hit a fly to center in the first inning, single to center in the fourth, and then a double to right center in the 6th inning. Shortstop Bobby Wine to his left. Easy play, gets his man. Here's Al Oliver. He has a hit tonight. 1 for 3. Had a base hit to right in the 4th inning. Died at first base. Foul, third base side. Oliver has 12 homers, 74 runs batted in. Mike Marshall is throwing in the Montreal Expo bullpen. Inside slider, 1-1. Checked in time on a high outside fastball. It's 2-1.
You can see that those uniforms are quite form-fitting. And this is a big boy, Al Oliver.
Fella has a punch. They don't exactly hide it, do they?
No. That's what George Burnett was telling me about today in the hotel lobby.
3 balls, 1 strike. On the ground to the first baseman, Jimmy Gosger. Waves Morton aside, steps on the bag, side retired. In the top of the 7th inning for Pittsburgh. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody. Bob Moose, number 38 for Pittsburgh, whose best effort against the Montreal Expos this year was to go 3 2/3 innings. He has now gone 6, and he's headed into the 7th inning. Something I want to check, number of strikeouts. He has 5. I mention that because I was talking to Nellie King before the game, and I was asking him what kind of pitches Moose threw, and he mentioned the sinker and the curve, which was halfway between the slider and the curveball, and an occasional knuckleball. He said he's not a strikeout pitcher. In fact, if you see Moose getting a lot of strikeouts, it's sometimes the indicator that he's going to be in trouble before the night is over, because he should be getting them to hit the ball on the ground rather than striking people out.
A lot of times that can happen. They just start overpowering that sinker, and when that happens, why the ball straightens out.
Moose gets the first one in for a strike to Bobby Wine. Bob grounded out. Mac Jones next. He'll be a pinch hitter for Carl Morton, we expect. Strike 2. Bobby's looking for his first hit. Grounded out to short, and he struck out. Moose has all the edge here at the count 0-2. See what he goes to. Hit on the ground to Gene Alley, the shortstop. Makes no mistake as he throws to Oliver. 1 away. And here comes the mayor of Jonesville. And that would be Mac Jones. Going into the 4th quarter in the football game at Ottawa. Ottawa 31, Montreal nothing. Jones is batting .236. His 14 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Ball 1 inside with a slider. Jones, his power is to right field. That's Mike Marshall, who throws a screwball. We may see him in the next half inning. The 1-0 pitch. 1-1. Jones's power is to right field, and usually the prevailing wind in this ballpark is from left over to right. For example, last night there was a real gale blowing in that direction. Anything hit high went out. Tonight, Jones gets no help. There's practically no wind. 1-2. He looked like Mike said, what was that?
I don't believe he's too sure what that that was, but I know that he was way out in front of whatever it was.
He took something off. 1-2 pitch. Strike 3. Sanguillen caught it. Bob Moose, number 38, has retired the first 2 men in the bottom of the 7th inning, Bobby Wine and Mac Jones. And now we go to Marvin Staley. Staley in an infield hit. Last appearance. High hopper to the shortstop to the left of Gene Alley. He knocked it down. He's 1 for 3. 1 ball, no strikes. Hit on the ground to the second baseman, Dave Cash. Over to Oliver at first, and the side is retired. Nothing across in the bottom of the 7th inning for the Montreal Expos. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. End of 7. The score is Pittsburgh 6, Montreal 3. And we pause now for no pitcher out there for the Montreal Expos. That's Mike Marshall, a right-hander, with a record of 1-5. And he won that game. Where was it, Atlanta or Cincinnati? One of our last contests.
It was at Cincinnati, right, Hal?
His earned run average is 4.86. Mike has worked a total of 42 1/3 innings. His overall season earned run average is 531, and his record 1-6. With the Expos, though, he's 1-5 and 4.86. Tell us, Don, about Marshall. The last time we had him, there was quite a bit of talk about his screwball. A lot of people may be wondering what a screwball does.
Well, Mike does have a very fine and a very effective screwball, and what the screwball does, it works especially good against a fella just like this, Willie Stargell, or a left-handed hitter, because it will break away from them. It works as an off-speed pitch, and it will break away from them, such as a left-hander's curveball.
Swing and a miss, strike 1. Number 16 you saw was Claude Rameau, who is now warming up in the Expo bullpen. High and away. It's 1-1. Willie looks charged up. Slider in towards the hands. It's 1-2. We've yet to see the screwball. He's thrown fastballs and a slider. But a slider, they're the youngsters from Valley Field, Quebec. And boy, how they love to get out. Hit on the ground to the first baseman, Gosger, who steps on the bag, and Stargell is retired. And what a moment it is for those youngsters to be at the ballpark in their baseball uniforms.
Some National League scores, Hal, as you mentioned before. Chicago beat Philadelphia 17-2. The Cincinnati 2, San Francisco nothing after 6. Houston 2, San Diego nothing after 6. Atlanta 4, LA 3 after 6. And St. Louis 1, New York nothing after 2.
Sanguillen is the batter, and it's 1 ball, no strikes. And Sanguillen wraps it straight back to the pitcher, Mike Marshall, who makes his throw to first for the second out. And here's Richie Hebner. Richie has 1 hit tonight, a base hit to left field. He scored a run in the 6th inning. That was the big one for Pittsburgh when they got 6 runs. Ball 1 to Richie.
I'd be anxious to see Mike Marshall when he gets up there the early part of the year when it's about 38 degrees and see if he goes out there and pitches with no sweatshirt on.
Strike, 1 ball, 1 strike. I see how husky that Marshall is. Last year, he went out for something to eat from his hotel in the city of Cleveland. Screwball?
That was it.
2 balls, 1 strike. Thugs, and they beat him unmercifully and stole his money. And last year, after that incident, he had to go to the hospital and everything else. He had a very difficult time. His whole body was sore throughout the whole summer. I don't think he won a ball game after that incident. So it's been very difficult for him to get back on winning track.
Certainly have to give him a lot of credit because he's bounced back real well.
Hebner gets a walk. Just so you won't have too much curiosity, I think as he walked by these fellas on a dark corner, they just asked for money, and before he could reach for money, they jumped him. 1 from either side, 1 back, 1 front. They had him down on his pants off before he could even move, and then they pummeled him. Gene Alley is in. Fouls the first pitch off for a strike. He's up with a runner at first base. It's Richie Hebner. Last time up, Gene Alley came up with the bases loaded and hit a grand slam home run inside the park. Straightaway center field. He also has a walk and a third base groundout. Fastball inside, edge of the plate, swing and a miss, 0-2. Goes to the other side, low and away, and it's a ball, 1-2. Outside, 2-2.
That was that screwball right there again, and Marshall tried to bring that in from the outside corner in. Just tried to nick that outside corner and just didn't miss.
Two pitch. Foul straight at our booth. We're on the top of the 8th inning at Jerry Park in Montreal. This is Hal Kelly along with Don Drysdale. It's 6-3 Pittsburgh. Pirates have a runner at first base with 2 men away, and the count is 2 balls, 2 strikes to Gene Alley, the Pittsburgh shortstop. Three and 2. Marshall's out of the half inning, and Alley does not like the call. In the top of the 8th inning, Pittsburgh at the plate. They get no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 runner left on. End of 7 1/2. The score: Pittsburgh 6, Montreal 3. Montreal Expos have 2 more half innings in which to do something about a 6-3 score with the Pittsburgh Pirates in front at the moment. Pittsburgh with 6 runs on 8 hits and 1 error. Montreal has 3 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. Bob Moose has struck out 6. He has walked only 2. 3 runs and 4 hits. Number 4 is George Burnett. And number 31, the right-hander out there with him is Dave Justice.
Left fielder, Jim Perry.
Ferry's 0 for 3. 2 ground outs and a fly to right. Strike called, a fastball in the outside corner. Staub is in the on-deck circle, looking back towards his dugout. That's the direction he's looking now. Jim Ferry's the batter. Has 2 homers, 19 runs batted in. 1-1. Two balls, 1 strike. In this half inning, numbers 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order for Montreal. Jim Ferry, the left fielder, Rusty Staub in right, and Bob Bailey, the third baseman. Bailey, the big hitter. Foul straight back. 2-2. Two balls and 2 strikes. Hit on the ground to the second baseman, Dave Cash. Terrell Oliver at first base, and there is 1 away.
The right fielder, Rusty Staub.
Incidentally, if you were watching a bit earlier, you saw us use a videotape machine and a recording device to record a visit by Gene Mock to the mound as he talked to the starting pitcher, Carl Morton, right during the actual ball game. We replayed it at the end of the half inning. A couple of people have called to ask, how did we get Mock's voice since he didn't have a cable behind him? Inside, ball 1. Gene Mock was wearing one of those microphones. I have very little technical knowledge. I guess it's a shortwave mic. And that shortwave mic was directed back to our truck unit here, or CBC television, and it was recorded there in the truck. 2 balls, no strikes. Remember, on the 16th of September, we'll probably try that again. We're going to try something else as well, which we'll tell you about on the 16th. Tell you now, somebody else might do it first. Low outside corner. Strike call, Staub. Shakes his head in disbelief. In color, see that hair? That's why they call him Le Grand Orange. Bailey has 2 hits, a single, and a double. There he is. He's driven in 2 of the Expos' 3 runs. Just missed. 3-1. I'll bet Rusty's thinking, now that was the same pitch right there, and he called it a ball.
Yeah. You don't want to say that too much, though, because they might throw another one there and you'll call it a strike again.
That was it. Just a little higher, but roughly the same spot. 3-2. Moose can raise his average to 500 with a win tonight. His record is 8-9. Staub watch.
Well, you couldn't think of a better man to have come up to home plate than Bob Bailey right now.
See Staub, he's putting on the glove as he goes to first base, putting the glove on when he becomes a runner. Yes, indeed, Don. Bob Bailey hit a big double that drove in the first run of the ball game for the Expos. It was to left center back in the first inning. He walked and stole second, and then had a single to left with the run batted in. And he made a good play defensively back around the 3rd inning. Don was mentioning it at the time, charging on a ball and getting his man at first base. On deck, Jimmy Gosger. There he is. Staub draws more throws to first base.
He certainly does, and that big fellow you see there in the blue, the umpire, is Lee Wire. And Lee Wire just had his wrist broken down in San Diego with a foul tip. it isn't even safe when you're sitting behind the catcher. I should say standing behind the catcher.
Bob Bailey with a count of 1 ball, 1 strike. Inside edge, says the umpire, and it's 1-2. Paul Pryor is the umpire at the plate. Lee Wire is at first. Ken Burkhardt at second. Ned Sudol is at third. One-two pitch. Foul ball on the third base side. That's Richie Hebner fielding it. So the count to Bailey is 1-2. One away. Expos with a runner at first base, Rusty Staub. It's 6-3 Pittsburgh.
It's almost like a spring training game down there in that Pittsburgh bullpen.
A lot of people active.
Got Bill Mazeroski warming up. Bill might go in defense here in the 9th inning.
And 2 pitchers, Lamb and Justy. Base hit for Bob Bailey. In left center. Coming on the ball is Alou. Staub goes to second base. Runners at first and second. As Bailey keeps the perfect evening going. Now has a double, 2 singles, a walk, 2 runs batted in, and a stolen base. And here's Jimmy Gosger.
Danny Murtaugh is going after the mound, and that's Danny walking across the first base line. This could be all for Bob Moose. And the Pirates are going to make a double shift right here. Freddie Patek has come in to play shortstop as Gene Alley, who made the last out in the 8th inning, leaves the ball game. George Brunette comes on and is the new pitcher. He will probably hit in Alley's spot with Patek hitting in the pitcher spot, and he will lead off the 9th inning.
That's Freddie Patek, 5'4", shortstop. And of course, the great story about him is when a bit of an altercation broke out last year between Pittsburgh and Montreal. And Montreal had Dick Raditz, what's he, 6'8"? Anyway, story has it, in the middle of the fight, Raditz grabbed Patek and he says, "I'll take you," and a player to be named later. Okay, Gosger's in. Burnett on his first pitch. Jack, pinch hitter. Phillips has come in place of Gosger. With the change in the pitcher going to the left-hander, Gene Mock has counted with a right-hand hitter. That's John Bateman, who will bat next. So Adolfo Phillips bats for the Expos as a pinch hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Claude Raymond and Howie Reed are in the bullpen warming up for the Expos. And Justy continues to throw in the bullpen for Pittsburgh. Expos with a chance to get right back in here. George Brunette on a 1-1 count to Phillips. Inside, it's 2-1. That's Staub into his lead at second. Runner at first is Bob Bailey. Tying runners at the plate for the Montreal Expos. Two balls, 1 strike to Phillips. 2-2. Adolfo's hitting .240, has 6 homers, 18 runs batted in. There is 1 out. Bottom of the 8th inning. Catcher Sanguillen coming back. It's in the stands. No chance, away back. John Bateman's in the on-deck circle. Shin guard still on. Two balls, two strikes. Check the swing, it's called. Strike three. Gene Mark wearing the windbreaker.
Well, I'd have to say this is one time that we might have to censor that little lavalier that's on Gene Mark's chest right now. And Gene Mark has automatically been kicked out of the ball game for protesting a called third strike. And we might have to wait a little while because Gene Mark bumped into home plate umpire Paul Pryor. Gene knows he's gone, and he's going to make sure that he gets his word in right now.
I think it's going to be his last word because I think Gene has been tossed out of the ball game.
He's automatically been tossed out of the ball game right now. But the thing is right now that he is very, very angry that nobody checked on that pitch. Paul Pryor called him out without ever checking. I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to hear the replay of this right after this game is over, Hal. This ought to be a beauty.
Phillips is called out on strikes. We have 2 men away, and the runners are still at first and second. And Bateman will be the next batter. Gene Mark.
Well, Gene's a little hot. That might be the maddest that I've ever seen Gene Mark. And I've seen him mad before, but he might be a little madder right now than what I've ever seen him.
And Murtaugh goes to the mound to talk to George Brunette. He's calling for a new pitcher.
He's going to bring in Dave Jesty now to pitch to the right-handed hitting catcher, John Bateman.
Here's the catcher, John Bateman.
John has 12 homers, 53 runs batted in. He's up with 2 men away, runners at first and second. Staub at the left top of your screen, into his lead at second. Bailey is the runner at first base. There's Bob, number 3. Justy is the third pitcher for Pittsburgh. Staub is headed for third base, Bailey for second. They're both in. Wild pitch.
Ken Burghardt, the second base umpire, he wanted to come in and check that ball because it bounced off the shin guards of Manny Sanguillen, and he wanted to check and see if there was any cut or rip on the ball.
So it's ball 1 to Bateman, who's after his first base hit of the night. 2 groundouts to short, and he struck out. All of that was against the starter, Bob Moose. Low outside, 2-0.
Hal, I'll have to say the fans here, if it has been a little chilly, which it hasn't really, it's been a beautiful night here, but they've warmed themselves up quite a bit in his last few innings.
Foul, straight up over the top, Bob Booth. It's 2-1. Right and left-handers warming up in the bullpen.
That's John Lamb, number... The right-hander is Lamb, and the left-hander...
Joe Gibbon.
Is Joe Gibbon, right.
And number 37, you saw a moment ago, is Boots Day in the on-deck circle. Staub at third, that's Bailey at second. 2 men away, 6-3 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the 8th inning. Dave Justy with a 3-1 count to Bateman. Watson, the bases are loaded.
Well, the Expos have certainly had some scoring opportunities. In the 6th inning, they left a couple runners on, but they scored 2 to come back and make the score 6-3. And now here in the last of the 8th inning, they have the bases loaded with 2 men away, and Boots Day the hitter. And time's going to be called.
Last night in the ballgame in the 9th inning, Day faced Justy, and Justy got him on a called 3rd strike to end the ballgame.
Rich Nye is going to run for John Bateman at first base.
Rich Nye, number 22, is in to run for John Bateman.
Rich Nye.
Number 34 is Jimmy Bragan, coaching at first base. Day came into the ballgame batting .286. Two men away, bases loaded for the Expos. They trail by 3 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Fastball, strike, outside corner at the knees. Boots on the scoreboard. Right. 0-2.
Those were 2 real good pitches. He went away with a low fastball and came right back on the inside corner with a fastball.
Missed with a fastball outside. It's 1-2. Infield for the Pirates. Oliver's at first. Cash at second. Paddock is now the shortstop. And Richie Hebner at third. Justy on the mound. Fouled away. It's still 1-2. Staub running at third. Bailey's at second base. Rich Nye in as a pinch runner at first base. Number 22. They're loaded with 2 away. Fouled away, third base side. One-two pitch. Sandian blocked it, then lost it, but it was right with him.
That ball hit about 3 feet in front of home plate, and Sanguillen made a great play just to stop that ball.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Boots Day, the Montreal center fielder, up with the bases loaded and 2 out. Over the head of the shortstop, coming high, there's Alou. Alou cannot get it. Staub is in to score. Bailey scores. Throw to second. And Day gets a double to left center, and 2 runs batted in. It's 6-5.
This ball was hit into left center field, and Matty Alou took a very big gamble here, trying to dive and catch that ball, but he kept the ball in front of him. If that ball had got by him, everybody would have scored.
Still with 2 men away, and now with runners at second and third. Richie Nye is the runner at third. At second is Boots Day at the top of your screen. 6-5. There's Nye at second. Expos trail by 1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Checked in time, ball 1.
And I'll tell you, Hal, this is what they mean when you're in a pennant race. Why nothing comes easy. You've got to fight all the way to that last game of the season if you're going to win it. And the Pirates are well aware of that right here and right now. was a curveball that Dave Justy got up over the plate, and he hung it right there, and Bobby went right back through the middle with him. And there was no play whatsoever that Matty Alou could ever make on Boots Dave scoring from second base.
Well, Marshall can win the ball game. Mike Marshall comes up to bat for himself with a 7-6 lead, and Murtaugh goes out. He's waving. Wants the right-hander, John Lamb. Wine's the only runner. He's at first. Expos in the lead, 7-6. Bottom of the 8th inning, 2 men away.
One of the biggest things that has hurt, that's Coco LeBoy warming up. He will go in for defensive purposes in the 9th inning. One of the big things that has hurt the Pirates has been their pitching.
That's usually what happens, though. Late in the season, arms get tired, a few doubleheaders pile up.
Well, that's true, and they have a young boy on that staff who's a real fine pitcher who's not there with them right now, by the name of Doc Ellis. He's out with a bad elbow.
Strike to Marshall. It's now 2 balls, 1 strike.
And I'll tell you, you can sit back in November, and if you lose a pennant by 1 or 2 games, you can sit back and drive yourself goofy trying to think of the games that, just as this game here tonight, that Pittsburgh had a 6-1 lead, and right now they're trailing 7-6.
Off the pitcher, hit it over for third base to Hebner. Bare hand throw, get him. Side is retired. Scoring, it's 1-5-3. Pitcher to the third baseman to first base.
This ground ball was right back at Lamb. Hit him on the right knee, but took a perfect rebound right over to Hebner at third base, who made...
As we go to the top of the 9th inning, is 7-6 with the Montreal Expos in front. A couple of changes now for the Expos. John Baccabella's gone into catch. Bacabella is in to catch after Bateman was lifted for a pinch runner in the bottom of the 8th inning. And Coco LeBoy has gone to third base. And Bob Bailey has shifted over to first base in place of Jimmy Gosger. So we have Bacabella, there he is, number 12, back of the plate. Marshall is pitching in relief. It's his ball game to win. Infield for the Expos, Bailey at first. Staley is at second base. Bobby Wine is the shortstop, and Coco LeBoy's at third. Barry in left, Day in center, Staub in right. Freddie Paddock, who is batting in the number 9 spot for Pittsburgh, is the batter. Alou, Matty Alou is in the on-deck circle. He's the lead batter in the order. 7-6 Montreal. Missed again, ball 2.
The big thing right now is Marshall wants to keep that leadoff runner off base if he possibly can. Because after Patek, you have the top of the Pittsburgh lineup coming up with Alou, Cash, Clemente.
3-0. Call strike, and it's 3-1. Called. It's 3-2 to Freddie Paddock. Montreal is 7 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Pittsburgh, 6 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error. Fouled away, it's 3-2. Don pitching to a fellow the size of Freddie Paddock, who is 5'4". Does the height make that much difference?
It can be tough, I'll tell you, especially when they get up there in a little crouch.
Foul, straight back, 3-2.
And don't put anything past little Freddie Poptek. He might be small in stature, or in height, I should say, but he has got a lot of power. He can drive that ball right out of here.
Has 1 homer, 17 runs batted in, and he's hitting .265. Foul, third base side to the top of the Montreal dugout. Hit on the ground to the second baseman, Staley. His play. 1 gone in the top of the 9th inning. Paddock grounds out. Second to first. Top of the batting order from Matty Alou. One of the toughest outs in baseball. He's off for 4 tonight with 3 fly balls and a ground out to second. Matty came into the game batting .296, 1 homer, which he acquired last night, 42 runs batted in. He hits them where they pitch him.
This little fella right here will make you throw strikes, I'll tell you that. He's not going to swing at too many bad balls. Of course, he's capable of hitting bad balls at any time, but in this position right here, he's going to make you throw strikes.
Bunting it, Marshall fielding, throws to Bailey at first base, 2 away. And Marshall handed a bouncing ball beautifully to make his play to first. So the Expos have a 7-6 lead with 2 out in the top of the 9th inning. Dick Williams is headed out to talk to his pitcher.
They're going across to Dave Cash. Hitting for Dave Cash. Hitting number 7.
Probably Robertson. Bob Robertson is coming on as a pinch hitter. And Robertson can hit it a mile. Well, we check his home run production. First of all, he's batting .294. He has 20 homers and 66 runs batted in. That 20 homers is for 309 at-bats. And most of those homers have been hit on the road. In Pittsburgh, they call him the next Ralph Kiner. I don't know what he's done with his last 4 homers, but his first 16, 15 of them were on the road. So Marshall's got a tough out with 2 gone, nobody on, top of the 9th inning, and a 1-run lead, 7-6. Just low, it's 1-0. Bacabella's back of the plate right in front of the umpire. He came in this half inning. Just missed low outside, 2-0. Pitch. 3-0. Two right-handers warming up in the bullpen for the Expos. Claude Rameau, Howie Reed. And Cal McClish is down there with him. That's Rameau on the left, number 16, Reed, number 29. McClish with the windbreaker. Gene Mock is in the clubhouse. And I imagine he's watching. Check, call, 3-1. Play Robertson very deep. Center fielder Bootstay is about 10-12 strides open to left center. Foul, let it play, first base side. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on. Top of the 9th inning. Last chance for Pittsburgh is this man, as Expos lead it 7-6. And the fans are staying to the last man. There's Clemente, number 21. Three-two pitch. Deep to left. Going back is Ferry. Game tied. Robertson did it. Home run number 21 for Robertson. There it is, high and on the inside. And Bob Robertson shot it into the stands in left field. That was a line drive home run, his 21st of the year. And you just finish with Robertson, and you get Roberto Clemente. Clemente has 2 hits tonight, a single and a double. A fly ball to center and a ground out. 2 for 4. Score tied 7-7. Top of the 9th inning. Strike 1. Of Bob Robertson's 21 home runs, 17 of them have been hit on the road, including 1 tonight, which has tied the score. Ball 1, 1-1. One pitch. Strike. 1-2. Bruce Del Canton now goes to the bullpen for Pittsburgh as well. Change up, hop towards first base. Bob Bailey makes the catch, and the side is retired. Over again in the bottom of the 9th inning. They did it in the bottom of the 8th inning when they scored 4 runs on 3 base hits and got into the lead 7-6. But then Pittsburgh came back in the top of the 9th inning, and Bob Robertson's 21st home run of the year to tie it at 7-7. New pitcher in for Pittsburgh. Lefty Joe Gibbon has come on to pitch for Pittsburgh in the 9th inning.
Number 9, Bill
Mazeroski goes to second base. So we'll just check here. There's Mazeroski at second. Just checking your lineup. They still have Oliver at first base. Mazeroski's at second. Little Freddie Pollock's at short. Richie Hebner at third. Sam Guillen is the catcher. And lefty Joe Gibbon is the 5th pitcher to come on for Pittsburgh tonight. Gibbon is 0-0. Earned run average 4.50. 31 games. 31 2/3 innings, given up 40 hits. 19 runs, 16 of them earned. Gibbon has given up only 2 home runs. Of course, he's only pitched 31 2/3.
Hitting for Myers Bailey, the middle number 1, Gary Sutherland.
Gary Sutherland, the right-hand batter, comes in as a pinch hitter for Marv Staley against lefty Joe Gibbon. Playing him beautifully is Alou, and now Clemente moves over in front of him, and Clemente makes the catch. But they had him well set up in the outfield. A fly to right. Either Alou or Clemente could have made the catch with ease. And here's Jim Ferry.
The rookie fielder goes, left fielder, Jim Ferry.
Barry's looking for his first hit. 0 for 4. Breaking ball, low outside, 1-0. Staub, number 10. Bats next. Hey, Rusty could be the hero again. 1-1. Two balls, one strike. Ball 3. But I imagine Renko may be throwing for exercise rather than to participate in this game.
He might be warming up just on his own, Hal. You're right. But Steve right now is the hottest pitcher on this Expo staff.
3-2. As the left-hander Gibbon is throwing a lot of sliders to the left hand hitting Jim Ferry. Fouled away, third base side. Still 3-2. One away, nobody on for the Montreal Expos. Over 15,000 fans in the stands watching tonight's thriller. Score tied 7-7. Barry gets a walk. And out of the hot seat comes Rusty.
Well, I'll tell you, they've got two good shots at him right here. They've got their 1-2 punch in Staub and Bailey. And they got speed on the base in Jim Ferry.
One ball, no strikes. That's Ferry. Covering him on the bag is Al Oliver. Lee Wire, the umpire at first. Bailey is on deck. Staub and Bailey. Popped up. First baseman Oliver makes the catch, and we have two men away. Well, can he do it? Bob Bailey has done everything else tonight. In the first inning, he had a double to left center that drove in the first run of the game. Then he walked in the fourth inning and stole second base. Then a base hit to left field that drove in a run. And another single in the eighth inning to left center field, and he scored a run. So he's 3 for 3 with 2 runs batted in, a walk and a stolen base. And he's up now in the bottom of the ninth. 2 men away, nobody on base. Score tied 7-7. Chet Ferry is on base, the runner at first.
The big thing right now is Joe Gibbon wants to keep that ball away from Bailey if he possibly can. Of course, it doesn't make too much difference. The main thing that he has to do is keep it down. If he gets it up, Bob's got good enough power. He can hit that ball a long ways to right center as well as left center.
Ferry to a short lead at first. Just missed. Ball 2, 2-0. That's Bacabella. He's on deck.
And he's flirting with danger throwing that ball up there. So that's right in Beatles' power.
Foul to the stands, 2-1. Ferry, the runner at first. There's Bailey. And what hands and wrists. Fast hands. Low. Ball 3-1.
The outfield is moved back. They're playing back a few steps deeper. Matty Alou is a good 400 feet in dead center field. They want to try and cut any ball off that might go into the hole and not have it go all the way to the wall. If they can cut it off, they can keep that runner from scoring from first.
Right, 3-2.
And here's where a pitcher with a real good move to first base can have a lot of things going for him right now. 3-2, that runner wants to be running. He wants to get off there as quick as he can.
Bailey gets the walk. Runners at first and second. And Danny Murtaugh comes out of the Pittsburgh dugout and heads out to talk to his pitcher. Bruce Del Canton gets the call. This fellow's a biology teacher in Pittsburgh in the off-season and a pitcher in the summertime with the Pirates. Bacabella. Low outside, ball one. Del Canton misses, and it's ball two, 2-0.
Now you're talking about the fan coming in tomorrow night. The Expos have ball day here at Berry Park, September 12th. Now the schedule calls for a night game, but that will be a day game starting at 2:15.
Deep to left. Skies are after it. Home run! Home run!
There was a high fastball that John Bacabella hit, and as soon as he hit it, you knew it was gone. Little chase given by Willie Stargell, and that's all over. 10-7, the Montreal Expos win.